Hi, everybody. In this video, we're going to take a look at the if function in Excel. And what the if function is it's just a logical function. It takes a logical test and tests it whether to be true or false and returns a value based on that outcome. So let's get right into it. It's a pretty simple function, but extremely powerful in application. So let's go here and type an equals and start off with if. And this is all we need. There's several different if based functions in Excel, but we'll stick with this one. And we can hit a tab or open a parentheses and look at the arguments. There's three arguments in an if function, and two of those, because of the square brackets, that means they're optional arguments. In our illustration here, for our purposes, we're going to use three arguments in all of our if function examples. So the logical test is what you're testing. So say, for instance, you wanted to test, is 1 in fact less than 2? And so type a comma. And the value of true here is, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go with the true. There are logical values, true and false, in Excel that aren't technically string values. So we're going to go ahead and select true for this one. And then we'll look for false. And we can double click that. And notice how it capitalizes those. And then close our parentheses. So what's going to happen here is this if function is going to test, is 1 in fact less than 2? And if it is, return this value true. If it is not, return this value false. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. And sure enough, we get true as the result. But if we were to go in here, double click into our cell again, and if we were to make some changes and we wanted to say 2 less than 2, the if function is going to test that, and it's going to test that to be false. So let's hit enter. And sure enough, we get a false response or a false result from that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can actually, let's go back and change that to be true. We can change these values, the value of true, to a string, some other string value. You could say double quotes, yes, and close that with the double quotes. And then we could replace false with the string value no. And so, is 1 less than 2? Yes, it is. And so we get the value yes. And again, we could change this to 2, and we're going to get that no, because that's what we replaced in our value if false. So you could also use numbers. So we could say 1 is true and 0 is false. And again, is 2 less than 2? That's false. So it returns the value of 0, which is in that value of false argument. If we were to change this to make it true, we should get a value of 1 back from our function here. So pretty simple, right? So pretty easy. So let's pull this over 1. And not only can you use numbers, but you can also compare text strings. So let's say we want to compare, is high equal to high? Not jai, but high. And so here we can go back to something like, we could say, does high equal high? And if it is true, return hello. If it is false, return bye. And so it is true, so it returns the string value hello, which we placed in that value of true argument. So let's say, does high equal hello? And you're going to get the value bye, because even though high does equal hello, conceptually it does not logically in the eyes of the if function. So we could also use cell references with the if function. So we could go with A2 here instead of the actual literal string and do this comparison. We could also do a combination of the two. And note that that's still true. So there you have it, the if function.